So, welcome everyone to your podcast.
Welcome.
Música. We're here with Antonio Larosa.
Oh, you say that so good.
Yeah. Antonio Larosa.
There you go.
Yeah.
You say it the right way.
Yeah, right? Yeah, of course. So we're going to start off with a nice cheers
Okay,
to
cool.
the mezcal. We were talking about this off camera.
Yeah, I know. So
cheers.
cheers. Do we do this or do you
Just a sip.
go,
You
sip
can
it?
do it. I know they do this here. You do this in Vancouver. Oh, this is actually not that smoky as
There's a bit
others.
of that though. I can
Is.
definitely.
But it's like at the end,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But it's obviously, like you were saying, it's just there's no smoke in the tequila like this. That's obviously what sets us apart as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really
Ooh,
nice.
I like it.
It's nice, right? Yeah. And so this is why we do the whole beer and mezcal, because
Is that a thing too?
you do like the tiny sips, for both of them.
Great.
And it's just nice. It's
I love it.
Yeah, it complements it like.
I'll
in
do
a
this
very good way.
podcast anytime.
You're totally welcome to.
Cheers.
So we're very happy to have you here. We have been meaning to ask you for a while. We were just maybe hesitant.
And I was waiting. I was super excited when you asked.
Nice.
This is my first time doing a podcast,
Oh,
and I
nice.
love listening to them. So I was just like watching so many of the musicians that I work with and know that are my friends beyond the show, and I was just loving every episode. So you guys are doing such a great thing by doing this. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
So thanks
you.
for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of questions, but I would want to start with one of the songs that you have on your first album, in 2017.
Oh no.
Steadfast. Yeah.
Okay.
You have a song that's called wait, I forgot the
It's
name.
okay.
It ends with Lamplighter. Like
No.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Saturday Night at the Lamplighter.
Oh
yeah.
man. Okay.
So is it the Lamplighter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people like that song. I don't know. I just kind of stopped playing it. But
Oh really?
yeah, I don't know. It was like a fun tune that I recorded, and I just kind of look back and think it's kind of cheesy. But I wrote it about like it's where me and my wife had our first kiss.
Oh, aw.
and like our first it was kind of like, oh, okay, like, we liked each other and stuff, but it was like the night where it kind of initiated,
Oh, aw.
So yeah.
But yeah, so it's kind of like you have that feeling. I don't know if you know about this thing about Radiohead where they don't play Creep anymore because it's just like, ugh, I don't want to play it anymore because I know everyone likes it, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, the sentiment of the song, I haven't thought about it in a while. The sentiment's really nice.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess it doesn't really. It was like a real fun tune. Me and Jason Cook, who's a drummer, used to live in Vancouver. He lives in Victoria now. He produced that record with me, and it was like my first, like stab at putting out music music that I wrote, I guess.
Okay.
So I didn't really know where I had so many different influences and stuff like that. So I didn't really know where I fit, but it was a real fun tune. But yeah, that's the Lamplighter. Yeah, it's fun. I don't play it anymore, but a lot of people come up to me. They're like, I love that song, Saturday Night at the Lamplighter. But yeah, it's about that. It's about like, me and my wife, my wife now, she kind of cat and mouse, I like you, she was kind of like hesitant. I was a bit younger than her at the time. And, finally, I guess we had a good time there, and then just it happened. So I wrote a song about it.
Nice. So do you think you write more songs that come from like
It
that
depends.
emotional, like happy, fun kind of sentiment?
It depends. I mean, like, it's all about how I'm feeling at the time. I even lately I've been writing a lot with other people, so I feel like a lot of the stuff that I write it starts in a place where it's a bit personal, and then it starts to kind of branch out and become a bit more broad, and lend itself to a story that maybe is maybe a little bit connected to me, but not as connected as as a direct story like that song is.
Yeah. Like it takes its own way, its own story, its own characters.
And I've learned to really kind of let that happen and stuff, So like not every song is like, oh my God, is like, and like, is this what's happening with Antonio right now? And it's like, no, it's, this is like an idea or
is this a page from his diary, from his journal?
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it's not. I'm burping as a speaker. This is great.
Yeah, it's a good beer. Yeah. And this is a good combination.
It is.
So
I'm going to take another sip.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Saturday Night at the Lamplighter. So is that the one song that you were like scrolling through that you were like, oh my God, that's a Lamplighter this way?
Yeah, like I feel like I've lately tried to look for like the story behind a particular song that maybe like jumps at me for whatever reason. It might be something like, I feel like there's a funny story behind this, or I feel like it could be like a nice story or a beautiful story or whatever. And then I saw like that one from as I was scrolling through, I was like, wait a minute, and so and I was like, I'm gonna ask him about this, about the song. So
and that was like, I remember at the time when me and my wife were seeing each other, that was like, it's kind of our favorite spot to go to. That was like, geez, 2011.
Oh, okay.
So it's a long time ago. Yeah. So that's
a while.
Yeah, we started dating around then. So
oh wow,
been together for a while.
Well, it's a good story.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe you can,
maybe I'll
revisit it.
Maybe I'll play it again. Why not?
Yeah. Give the people what they want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then so you mentioned right now that you have lately collaborated with other musicians.
Yeah.
And, do you feel like it's like when you collaborate with other musicians, do you have a specific way of approaching how you start writing a song and then sort of get like, oh, this person is a lot more, driven by, I don't know, like rhythm or like tying rhythm to an emotion or just like writing like words that, are fun to play with or, and you're like, oh, I feel like I discovered about me that I'm like this way. Like, have you discovered new stuff about yourself when you're collaborating with other musicians?
Oh, definitely, all the time. I mean, I feel like whether it's like in writing or whether it's like on stage, you're always learning about what your strengths are. I feel like when I started writing with other people, so that first record, it's all songs I wrote by myself.
Nice.
Right. So there was just, which was, I look back on it now and that was like I said, that was like songs that I'd written, my first stab of like putting tunes out and stuff like that. And I look back now and I think it's okay. I'm not like, I'm proud of it obviously, but I was like, whoa, like,
like I've grown.
Yeah. And when, and there's something nice about it too, because I feel like I didn't really care as much. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm just writing, you know what I mean? And I've lost a bit of that. I feel like sometimes because I scrutinize a lot.
Yeah. Do you find yourself like overthinking more now, or just being a lot more methodical of like picking out the weeds?
Yeah, it's that, and it's like you start to realize what makes a good song. I think as time passes, and you're like, why is this song good? And like there's obviously really obvious reasons, and then you really start to dissect certain things. And what I was going to get to is that like when I write songs with other people, I've learned now that I have certain strengths that I like to stick to when I'm writing with other people versus when I'm writing on my own. So I love to come up with melodies. Like I love to sing melodies. I'm lucky that I'm able to just, I feel like just to sing so many different things when I feel like it, and save it or, and think about it. So that's something that I love to do. And I come up with melodies under a chord progression, I feel like a lot of the time. So that's something that I know I can do. If I sit down and I really try and do it, it may not be always great, but I know I can come up with something at least. And I have a premise, I guess, as to where I want things to go. And what I like to do is I write to come up with this premise, and then I like to bring some of that with other people and say, hey, this is the mood and this is what the melody I got. And this is the idea that I had for the song. Let's start throwing out ideas as to what we can write lyrically. So a lot of the people that I do write with are just so much better lyrically, I find, than I am, and like, I'm not saying I'm not, but I like to bring that out of people and and I think that's how we work well with some of the writers that I like to work with. David Boris is one guy that I like to work with. He's an incredible songwriter. Doug Folkens, Anthony Fiddler, Nigel Aslan, Ryan Sullivan, just some guys that I kind of met through the scene that, like primarily are writing a lot of country music.
Okay. Yeah.
But it ventures and stuff like that, right? The song's a song. So.
And how did you get into did you always listen to country music when you were younger?
I mean, like the crazy thing with that is that like,
because you're not 100% country, like you have like other influences in your music and your like the strumming of your rhythms.
For sure. And I
everything.
can appreciate that you recognize that, because it's not like, I also was born in, Vancouver and Burnaby, or I grew up in Burnaby. I was born in Vancouver, but I grew up in a certain city, right?
Yeah.
But when I was listening to music at a young age, and what I was drawn to the most was like Elvis Presley and like Johnny Cash and like Roy Orbison, a lot of this rootsy kind of country, early country music, Willie Nelson and just like Glenn Campbell, John Denver, like all that kind of stuff was like, I was like, oh, I love this, right? But I didn't know that it was country music, for instance. When you're that young, you're just kind of like, I just love this stuff.
You listen to what you like.
Exactly. And my mom used to play a lot of that stuff when I was growing up. So I used to hear, and then that, and of course, like Italian music.
Okay, yeah.
Because my heritage is my grandparents are from Italy, both my mom and my dad. So yeah, I mean, like that was the stuff that I loved to listen to. And then when I started playing guitar, that's the stuff that I learned to play on guitar with. My teacher was very heavily into country music. He had cowboy boots, a big handlebar mustache, and I was an elementary student going to his little spot and learning how to play guitar every day. So that's kind of where it all kind of came from. And so ever since then, when I started performing at a young age, I was singing a lot of like Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and like Roy Orbison and stuff like that, right? Yeah. But like I said, I didn't know that it was what it was country. You know what I mean? And now I look back and I probably did a bit, obviously, Johnny Cash country hits on my CD and stuff. But yeah, so I mean, that's where that influence kind of came from, and then it kind of branched out and changed it. But yeah, but that's where that came from. And I struggled with a little bit of that, calling myself a country rock artist. Yeah. Because I was like, well, how much of this is country? But it's like alternative kind of roots.
Yeah. And I feel like lately, like in general, country music has started to, or I don't know if it's the other way around. Like music has bled into, like other kind of music has bled into country, and country has bled into other kind of music. Yeah. So there's like now this kind of new genre or like rhythm and like feel to something that you listen to and you're like, it's not country, but it gives me like the country feeling. So it's like it's sort of country, it's not
and I really,
necessarily if I see this person that is singing this and doesn't wear a cowboy boots and doesn't look like a cowboy, I'm not gonna feel offended. Yeah, like totally. It's like it makes sense because it's not 100% like purebred country.
And like the songwriting for me is where it's like I love like country. It's like especially like the older country songwriting. It's just so good. It's like such good. The storytelling kind of aspect of it all is like it's my favorite. That's kind of like what I'm drawn to the most, I think. And obviously the voices and stuff. So
when you're thinking about, when you have an idea about a song, you mentioned your strengths would be always turning and like thinking about a melody and singing like around it. But you have this idea. This idea comes from like what you want it to be about, or more like, no, I just wanted to do this kind of like it has this kind of sound. And
it depends. Like I'll sometimes, I'll be driving sometimes and I'll just think of like a phrase or say something that I think is kind of funny, and then I'll jot it down and be like, oh, that's, like that's kind of like witty or like kind of snarky. And then a lot of the times I'll be in the shower of all places, just kind of like, singing, and then, I'll sing like a melody of some sort, and like a rhythmic melody, and like that kind of sounds like hooky. And I'll be like, oh geez, and I'll literally will walk out of the shower soaking wet and grab my phone, and just, so a lot of that happens, and it happens like when I don't expect it, or like when I'm about to go to sleep. Oh, like just in the moment,
and you're like, wait.
Yeah, and sometimes I've like had like woken up sometimes, but like I wrote such a good song in my sleep last night. I can't remember it, and so it's stuff like that. So I don't, and then
do you keep a notebook maybe beside like right beside your like your bedstand, and just
like the notebook I can do on my phone. Like the phone is a huge helper. Like I'd kind of just like if I had to, and the recording, like the melody recording on the phone.
How do you do it? Do you
voice
like
memo?
Okay, to yourself or just like
to me? So I'll just record myself singing something, And then I have a bank of just like all these random melodies or like, and sometimes they're shit.
And what's
like,
your description of them?
Oh,
It was like, is it like the date or just like
the date?
cool melody?
Sometimes,
Cool melody
cool.
too.
Just totally, just bullshit. Yeah, just stupid stuff.
So you don't necessarily like, you have a system, just not like.
Yeah, when I'm really busy, it's hard to have a system because I'm just like, so like, it's been pretty busy in the summer, like just trying to keep up with all the gigs and stuff. But when it's the fall or the winter and stuff like that, a lot of that inspiration kind of lends itself. When you're relaxed, I find when you really are relaxed, you kind of allow it to kind of settle in. So
you have your like your busy playing music days or the summer, and then the fall is when the whole like creativity bursts.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty busy this fall too, but when it slows,
to make it work.
Yeah, when it slows down a bit, right? Obviously, we're trying to you try and take all the gigs you can all the time, right? So
well, nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to ask you mentioned right now that you had you listened to a lot of what your mom would also play. And you started playing in elementary. So how did you start, or why were you attracted to play guitar first? Like, is your family
I mean,
music driven? Do they play instruments?
I think the earliest thing I can remember,
or was it just like you saw a picture and you were like, I want to look like that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think cliche, but I mean, he's inspired so many people. I remember listening and like seeing Elvis on like one of my mom's CDs and just being like, holy cow,
who is that?
And like just like Jailhouse Rock and like Hound Dog, and just hearing this guy sing like rock and roll. It was just like the coolest. And my mom loved Elvis, so she used to play a lot of that. So that was like first number one thing where I was like, the whole guitar thing was probably my uncle, so my mom's sister's husband. He was a guitar player, and he used to bring out the guitar for like, maybe like birthdays or like Christmas and stuff like that. And he would play, and I remember just being like, whoa. And actually, both my grandfathers used to play guitar too. That they were like both from a really small town
in Italy.
In Reggio Calabria, where like they would just know like 2 or 3 chords.
Yeah, and just play the same.
Yeah, and it was like folk music, which is crazy when you think of the country music, and then like where maybe my origins of my family came from was their kind of country music, right? Which is very like folky, like tambourine, squeeze box, and 3 chords, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so that was happening when I was growing up, and I remember, but I do remember really well, just because my uncle was like he was good, he was good. So I just remember being like, whoa, that's super cool, right?
Can you teach me? Like,
yeah, and like I'd always grab his guitar and it'd be like way too big for me, right? So
you can't really grab it. You're like,
yeah, I was. There's like many pictures, and I was a pretty big kid too. So, but I remember, I just remember that really vividly, and I also remember.
And when did your mom or like decide that, okay, you can get, we'll get into some classes?
My grandparents bought me a guitar for one of my birthdays, and it was like a smaller like Fender acoustic guitar. So I couldn't play anything though. I would just like play it, and I didn't know how to play it. But then I think he's 9 or 10 years old, and I started taking. My mom put me in guitar lessons. I didn't like sports at all. Like. I just didn't like, and everybody at my school was just like totally into sports, and I was just like, why is everyone getting so excited? Like, I didn't get it. Like,
I don't want to chase a ball.
Yeah, I was just like, whatever, like, relax. Like, still to this day, I get a little like, okay, it's just a game.
I don't want to look sweaty.
Yeah, totally. No, it's true. I was like, I didn't want to run or anything like that. I hated it. But yeah. So I was. My mom would take me every day. I remember every Friday after school, she would take me to guitar lessons. And like, my guitar teacher was a real special dude, because he didn't really like scold me if I didn't because I didn't practice. Like, I was in elementary school. I didn't I would practice when I went and saw him. Like, my head's in the clouds. I wanted to play with my toys, and
Yeah.
I was 9 or 10 years old. So I would just show up, and and we would just sometimes play the same thing, and the guy was never like, you gotta practice, like, you're not, you're shit. Yeah, he was just like cool, and we would just learn. You started like trying to learn theory, but I was like, no.
It's too hard.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't seem fun. I just came from school, right?
Yeah, I don't want to read things.
Exactly.
Just for me to do this.
Yeah, and then I remember he taught me how to play Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues.
Oh wow!
And he's the first person that showed me that song, and I was just like, oh my god! I was like, that was a big deal for me. And like when I could learn and I could play that song from beginning to end, it was really cool. That was a bit later on, and then I started taking it a bit more seriously in probably like grade 7 or 8. And it's
so there was still like a while to, like from going to like whatever, I don't really want to practice, but I like this.
There's about 3 or 4 years of me just like not giving a shit. Like I liked it, but I was no good. It's not like I was any good, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't, seriously.
I mean, you probably were. I mean, because like or I don't know. I mean, I don't know who your professor is or like what he's like.
He might say different, maybe.
But maybe
he
was
saw
like
something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like if not, it'd just be like, I'm getting paid, but like I don't want to get paid to do the same thing over and over. Like at least I can see there's the tiniest breakthrough, like within like each class.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he was guy was super patient, man, and like I owe a lot to that guy. He was really awesome. If I wasn't for him, I probably would have given up because like I don't do well with someone probably like, like scolding me or like making me feel like that wasn't good. I'd probably be like, oh, I don't want to go near that. If you're gonna make me feel crap. I was super sensitive.
You're more of
a. Oh my god, is that me? I'm so sorry. Jeez.
That's your professor now calling you to scold you. I'm kidding.
No, this is not important at all. Likely fraud. Thanks, Vancouver.
Thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, he was awesome and he was a big help. And I remember like, man, I'm just going off. This is fine.
Do it.
Remembering all this stuff, but
there's no like, this is what this is for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm already, just so you know, everybody, I already drank like this whole beer. So
we have more, by the way. Do you want another one?
No, I'm okay. I remember one of the first. So I went to a Catholic elementary school, and there was like little opportunities, and there was a Catholic women's league, and that was like one of the first gigs I got. I remember, and I was like probably like 11, maybe or 10.
Oh, really? What would you have to?
And well, it's just like these women used to get together, and I guess they used to do stuff for the community, and they had like a thing called the strawberry tea. And it was like they were just like a lot of old ladies that would just they'd just get together and they'd probably drink tea and talk about God. And I remember one of the first, it was me going there and just playing guitar for them, and I was junk, but like they allowed it and it was cool. And I just just playing in front of people was like a big deal. And then I remember I played the talent show in grade 5, and I didn't even sing yet. This is just me playing guitar, and I played Hero by Enrique Iglesias. Oh. So imagine country music, and then you got Enrique Iglesias. Okay.
I thought you were just like Hero from Foo Fighters. I was like, wait, what? And then from Enrique Iglesias, I was like, wait, what?
This is my mom's influence. This is what I was listening too much of what my mom was playing all the time, and I was like, all right, this is the best thing we got here, right? So, and it was popular at the time. That song was super popular at the time, I think.
But there was a time when Enrique Iglesias was like, Enrique Iglesias.
It was great. His first album was wicked. I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, no, like seriously.
Exactly. Yeah, we can say that.
We can. I don't care. Yeah, it's all good.
Exactly.
But I remember I played just like the riff and like just played it over and over.
And everyone was like,
and no singing. And then I walked off because I was so nervous with my guitar still plugged into my amp, and my amp like hit. There's footage of it and everything. It's hilarious.
There's footage.
So yeah.
Please send it to Paco.
I should. I gotta find it. It's VHS. It doesn't even look like me. I'm like freaking. I'm like 100 pounds heavier than I am right now, too. It's hilarious.
Oh, well, that's nice. I'm glad your grandparents got you into got your first guitar.
I know.
And, my grandmother, I still like to, but I don't really claim it that much right now. But I like to paint.
Oh,
and
nice.
my grandmother, she would be like the person that got me into whatever I would like to do. So if I said like, oh, I like to draw, my grandmother got me into like a creativity class, which is such a weird class to have. But it was, was it like everything kind of like? Yeah, I remember I would go into this like big salon and have just like cushions, like just like thrown and pillows in the room and just like paper and I don't know, like crafts. So we would do different things. Like we would do, I don't know, paint a box and then travel in it to a planet or like one day and then the next day we would like draw something. It was like very
I like that better than playing and kicking a ball. I was like I'd paint a box and go to space like
yeah, exactly. It was really cool. So she got me into that, and then she got me into another class of like of drawing, and then she got me into a painting class, and she would really like push.
That's so nice.
Yeah, and if it weren't for her, I feel like I never would have done like the least amount of paintings that I've done, or like I've done very little, but whatever I've done, I honestly owe it to her because she just pushed me over to
awesome.
like that part of my brain, you know, like trying to pick on that part of my brain. And my parents were more, I did sports my whole life. I'm the opposite. I love sports.
Wow. That's great.
But yeah, that my parents would give me like all the push for sports.
Right.
Also because we were 3 kids, we were 3 girls. And then, I mean, yeah, so my parents really wanted to like, we need less people in the house. You need to.
So
like,
you're playing soccer probably too, right?
Basketball. Basketball,
okay.
and then I played soccer, and then like flag football, like boxing, and like
that's awesome.
I did like track. I did tennis. I did a bunch of sports.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah. Not anymore.
No.
So, yeah. But you know, I tried.
Yeah. I mean,
but I did it my whole life. And I feel like there's always that part of me that is very thankful for all those grandparents who are like really encouraging of the tiniest of like, I really like want to do this. And they're like, yeah, I'll just get you a guitar. Like,
I know. Those
you
people
like that picture of Elvis Presley? Here you go. And you're like, yeah, thank you.
Those people that kind of, if it wasn't for those people, you think sometimes like, where would I be? Right? Even like certain teachers that you probably have. I'm sure we've all had teachers where you look back and go, oh my God, thank God for them. Like, I don't know if I ever would have been here or done that or that, you know? So like, I really think like teachers are such an important part in like of how this society is raised.
Yeah,
and
totally.
People become who they are. And it's because when you think back on it, you know,
you're just so manageable when you're small. So the smallest nudge into the right direction or into the best direction of your own, like the best version of yourself, if someone is able to spot it and then push you over that way, is like, like life changing.
Yeah, or just like instill the confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
You could do this
because sometimes it's the only like what you need, like that positive reinforcement. And you mentioned it earlier, right? Like if you would have had a professor that would, like a teacher that was just like, no, you're shit. You're not practicing and whatever. You'd probably be like, oh yeah, then I am.
And that
shit.
might work well with somebody else.
Yeah,
they might be like, I really want to change that guy's mind.
Yeah,
I would have been like, see ya, bud. Like. Like I know, you know what I mean? Like I would like, okay. Nah, you're mean.
I'm shit, yeah, why? Whatever, bye.
Like no thanks. Like, you know, that's just
And when was the moment when you realized like, oh, I can also sing? Like now I can play, but
I know. I'm trying to think. I've thought about that before too. I think the first time I think sang for like, well, we used to sing. So I used to sing in choir. Like we used to, going to
like in this at school. It's very
so
like
we used to go
Catholic,
to church.
Yeah.
So singing was a big like it was like every day, which I think about it now and I don't even remember caring that much, but I probably did. I probably enjoyed it more. Like I said, I was always in choir though. I remember being in choir. I didn't really care for like some of the material, obviously.
Yeah. The Lord.
Yeah, but I remember I did like there was a school play I was in grade 6 and we had a really great music teacher, Miss Wilkerson was her name, and she kind of really took like really like cared about like a musical and that kind of thing. She like, you know, super into it, right? Yeah. And we did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which it's like was it Andrew Lloyd? No, it's not Andrew Lloyd Webber. Maybe it is. I forget. Was it?
I don't know. My talent shows are very different than in Mexico are just very different.
They're probably awesome.
I mean, yeah. The other day I was talking to, I don't remember who it was. We were talking about how Christine Lee. Shout out to Christine.
Oh, I know Christine. Yeah.
So great. the not talent shows, but like the Christmas shows.
Oh yeah, like
in
the
Mexico.
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, we had.
Oh, big deal, right?
It
In Mexico.
would, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like angels versus demons
Oh my god.
trying to fight
all right.
over the announcement of Jesus Christ. So it's like a whole thing. Yeah, it's
Wow.
yeah. It's like very. She's like, that's very dramatic. I was like, yeah. Now that you see it, it is very dramatic. It's
Pretty
like
cool. It's pretty hardcore.
yeah. So that was our kind of like.
Oh, that's kind of not similar in terms of premise, but we used to do like a Christmas thing every year. And I remember I looked forward to that, like the Christmas concert, whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
But
so this was what, like a regular summer. Oh,
I'm just breaking everything here. Phone's ringing. We're good.
Yeah.
I won't touch it ever again.
Just blame the
and then
cat.
just kick your cat.
Yeah.
So we did Joseph. I think that's what I was saying. We were talking about. I did Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Big musical. It was a big deal. Like,
I feel like I've heard it before, but now I'm like, I can't put a face on it.
well, the reason it was is because it was biblical. So like our Catholic school is like it's like a biblical story, and it was like a good musical.
The dreamer, like Joseph the dreamer. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what it was. No, that's right. I think
because
so.
That's why it's the Technicolor.
Yes,
yeah, because he's the
things,
exactly.
And then they came true. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I totally forgot.
Yeah.
But there was like a character in there that was like he was like Elvis.
Oh.
So he was like the Pharaoh, but he was kind of like Elvis. Like
so you're like
actually I think one of the teachers was like, you should totally be
try out
for
the
this
Pharaoh
thing, and I was kind of like, okay. And then I ended up getting the part, and I just felt so like
empowered,
important. I was like, oh my god. And I had so
I'm
much
the
fun.
Pharaoh.
And the response from people too, like in grade 6, like I remember just like all the parents and stuff, they really it was like a big deal. So I was just like, oh my god, it just felt, like finally found something that
I can make a career out of this.
Well, I'm not sure I thought that, but I just thought, oh wow, people are recognizing me for something, and it just felt really nice, and I enjoyed doing it. So that's like and it was a musical, and like that's kind of not really what I do now, but it was a chance to sing.
It's still like it gives you that moment where you're put to the test, where you have to be in front of people and you have to perform something that is not necessarily who you are.
Exactly.
You have to perform something. So
and I just channeled his Elvis.
Yeah,
thing.
nice.
Because I loved Elvis, and I was like, perfect.
I know the guy. Yeah,
and that was like the first time I like sang though, like. And I was like, because I didn't think I could sing. And then I just kind of was like, oh, I guess I can,
Oh, so maybe, do you think your choir teacher, your music teacher was like, oh, this guy can sing. Maybe
she probably knew. Yeah.
Because I feel like.
She probably did. I just never caught on. I mean, she's the one that told me to try out. So she must have saw something in class. Yeah. Right. Or, I just can't remember that far. I only remember like glimpses of that kind of stuff. But,
wow. Well, it's still, you remember enough to be like.
Well, you remember those people. You remember the moment, like
exactly,
of that, right? And like kind of the same thing, like teachers or people that kind of steered you in that right direction, right?
So this is when you were like really young, but then how did you decide, or when and why did you decide like, oh wait, this is actually something that I really love, I'm really passionate about, and I really want to make like the most out of it. I really want to make a career out of it. I want people to listen to me because I feel like I have something to say.
Well, it's a tough question. In the sense that I think it's not tough. It's just I remember caring a bit more when I got into high school about playing guitar. I think a bit more. I knew I could sing kind of a bit. Did a few musicals, and then I didn't really care for doing schoolwork. Yeah. So, and then like I noticed that when I was playing guitar, like girls were like, oh my god. And I was like, all right, this is working.
You're like, yeah.
I was like, this works. This works. I was a little heavier set kid, so like it was kind of like, all right.
I just need to hold on my guitar for as long as I can.
Yeah. So like that kind of, and I just only looked forward. I still didn't think it was a career, but I only looked forward to doing like the talent show every year and just kind of somehow playing. But when I got out of high school,
you didn't question yourself. What am I going to do now?
I never thought I could do it for a living.
Oh, wow.
Never. No way. Because it's just like, this was just fun. Like,
Yeah.
When I was working, my grandfather and my dad had a Italian food company where we used to import and distribute and manufacture Italian foods all over Vancouver and stuff like that. So like that was probably like where I thought I was going to be working, right?
Yeah, which makes sense as well. Yeah.
I got out of high school and oh well, that's not true. I got out of high school and I went to acting school for a little bit. I thought I wanted to be an actor, which
because you were doing musicals.
Yeah,
so
there
it's
you
like,
go. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of that's the only thing I knew was I could play guitar, but I was like, no, this musical seems to be more of like a.
They pay more for acting or like whatever.
I
maybe.
thought.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it seemed like more of a wise career choice.
Mm.
But I think it was.
But it wasn't necessarily because you liked it more.
No, I think when I really thought though that I could
like really
keep doing it and or just go all in was excuse me. I was going to school. I was trying out a lot of different things. I went to BCIT for accounting. I know. Because my grandfather was like, you need to be an accountant. And I was just like, all right.
You need to carry the business.
And I was like, yeah, exactly.
We need someone who's good with numbers.
Totally. And that's what he wished. He was like, he wished he was better at that. So he was kind of like, we need you to do this. And I was kind of like, okay. So I tried it out for a bit and I was like, no chance. Sorry, no. But
sorry, no. Aw.
And then I was like, okay, well, this isn't like creative enough for me.
Then there's that kind of grandparents where they're like, no.
Well, he was great. Like he steered me in a lot of the good. Like I remember when I was playing guitar, he was kind of like, "You can play guitar." He was like, "Wait, can you read music?" And I was just like, "No." And then he was kind of like, and I was like, "Damn, he's right." So that'll come. That comes later in my life, but I didn't.
You studied accounting at BCIT
for like not even a whole semester. I was like, "This fucking sucks." Couldn't do it. And then I went to BCIT for architecture or like drafting because I was like, okay, maybe I love to draw. When I was a kid, I used to draw all the time.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
that was something I loved to do. If I wasn't playing music, I was drawing in my coloring book, and you know. So
do you still do it?
No, I don't. No.
Oh, maybe revisit.
If I got time, maybe.
Sorry, so you were
no,
saying,
it's all good. It's all good. I should maybe it'd be good for me, but. I was doing the drafting thing, and then I remember having a realization when I was doing that, when I was doing a project for drafting, and I had the drafting table, and I was doing everything, and I was more concerned about what records I was going to be listening to while I was doing this drafting. And while I was doing it, I was singing, and I was like enjoying the music, and I was just kind of like drawing, and I'm like, this is fun, but I'm like, you know.
Yeah. You were tailoring your mood to whatever activity you had to.
And then my dad was just kind of like, I was like, you know, I think I was having a heart to heart with him. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, I feel kind of stuck here. Like, what do I do kind of thing? And he's like, you know, just go to school for music. He's like, try it out. He's like, you can teach music. And I was like, okay, you know what? You're right. I'm like, but I don't know how to read or write it. I can't teach it if I don't know. So I went to Douglas College. I think it was 2013 or 2014, and I learned from the bottom how to like read and write music, even though I should have learned when I was.
You're like, no, you damn it.
And I picked it up, and it was good. It was a really good program. It's called the Basic Musicianship Program, and like it went really well, and I learned everything. And then my goal was to get into Capilano University for jazz guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to go for vocals. I wanted to really get better at the guitar. So
okay.
yeah. So I did that. I got in, and that was a huge deal for me. I was going to go to jazz, get my thing in jazz, and you know, even though like jazz wasn't my number one music, but I'm like, it's okay. This is how it works, right? And then I got an opportunity while I was going to jazz school to join this. There was like an audition that was happening they were looking for singers to tour in this group. And they wasn't sure what kind of group it was, but they were like auditioning a bunch of men from Vancouver.
Oh.
And I used to sing at the Italian Cultural Center.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you speak Italian?
No. I mean, like, it's pretty bad. I can understand it. But even like where my family's from in Italy, it's like, it doesn't even sound like Italian. Like we live, it's like very.
Do you ever watch Family Guy?
Yeah.
You're like bippity bopper.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my extent to Italian. But the Italian Center used to give me a lot of opportunities when I was younger, and I used to perform at a lot of their events and stuff like that. And I would sing in Italian. So that's one thing I could do. And that's,
you can sing in Italian.
Yes,
that's what,
I did a lot of that.
And you have the name to be like, I can back it up.
I
like,
know. But it wasn't where my heart was at. You know, I could do it. I love that music, but it wasn't, you know.
You still, you already had your heart set for like country.
Well,
like,
I was playing that at talent shows. I was playing country music and I was winning talent shows and people were like, oh my God, you know, so I knew that's, but you know, my mom and dad and like my grandparents were like, oh, do that song, you know, do Rose, Rose, like do like, you know, and I was like, all right. So, you know, I wanted to make everybody happy too. And, you know, you tend to listen to you know, your elders.
Yeah.
Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. So the Italian Center, I was playing there and they gave my information to these people that were looking for auditions because this group was either going to be an Italian singing group or a Spanish singing group.
Oh, okay.
I know. So I was like, well, I can't sing in Spanish, right?
Does this mean we could have gotten like in Mexico, you know?
Oh, this gets better.
And Antonio Larosa just being like, being like in a boy band, just like,
Well, this is where I don't think you know this story. I don't think, maybe a lot of people don't. Some people do, but so, you know, I remember going to school. I feel like I'm just babbling right now. But
it's fine.
It must be the mezcal.
We're both exactly. That's why we do this.
You know,
that's why we do.
Sat me down. And I'm like, here's my life story.
Paco's having the best time.
Is he? Oh, you're getting some good footage, aren't you? Yeah. Hope you got when I kicked the cat. Oh man.
So they were looking for an Italian or Spanish speaking boy band.
One of the guys there, Giulio Recchione, he said, this guy sings here a lot. He's really good. You know, you should audition. So they contacted me and I remember I went to school and I talked to my teacher and I said, man, there's a chance that I got to audition at this. If I get it, I won't be able to finish school. I don't know why my head went there, even though it was just an audition. I didn't get the role yet or whatever it was. Yeah. And the teacher was like, it just
seemed like big, maybe.
Yeah, it just seemed like a big deal, right? And the fact that they kind of were like trying to get a hold of me too, I thought, oh, this seems kind of like,
yeah.
And then he was just like, Antonio, he's like, take the opportunity. He's like, the school's always going to be here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So went and did the audition. I got in this group.
That was a great advice from a teacher.
I know. Well. Yeah. And this was like in 2015. And there was they were putting a group together and it was finalized that it was a Spanish singing cover group.
Okay.
And yeah, I know. I was like, this. And this is, yeah. And then they grabbed a guy from Toronto and they grabbed a guy from Montreal and there was a trio of us and they put us together. And we came together and we recorded an album, all cover songs, Spanish cover songs at the Armory Studios. And I was like, this is crazy, right? It was such an incredible experience. And then
I did not know that.
Yeah. And then
why didn't you have that on your
Well, it's a little bit different than
like, let me finish the story and then you'll
it's just, you know, obviously it's a little bit different from my original music and what I'm trying to, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience and I made really close relationships with the two guys that I was performing with. They're still my friends to this day. And we had a lot of fun. We toured. We did a lot of cruise ship gigs and we filmed a PBS special in Toronto.
Wow.
It was a big deal. It was like the craziest thing. And so after I did that, I just kind of felt like, you know,
maybe I can live out of
it. I just like someone kind of gave me an opportunity and something that, you know, made me feel like I could do this and get paid for it, you know?
Yeah.
And once you kind of get paid and feel like, you know, and people are telling you you sound good, you're kind of like, okay, well, maybe this is a thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because before that, I just kind of was like, I'm going to teach music and maybe get the odd gig here and there. But it really.
So this is very recent, or fairly
2016
recent. Yeah.
Is, yeah.
Like it's not, I mean, it's still been a while, but not like, it's not something that you were like, I can live out of this. And then you just started right out of high school and just be like, it was more like of a.
So I didn't like, and I was writing at the time too. I was writing my first album when this was all happening.
Yeah, 2017 was when you.
Yeah. So I
Saturday
still. Exactly. Oh, the song has come back to haunt me. But yeah, so I did that for about 3.5 years, doing touring and singing with these guys. And funny enough, we were singing like Enrique Iglesias.
Yeah.
Like Gypsy Kings, just like I know, yeah, totally. So I can sing in Spanish.
Oh my god!
Like literally would I remember we got the list of tunes. I remember I was just like studying them so much. So we got into the studio that there was like no, discrepancies.
Do you know who Luis Miguel is?
I know of him.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
But
who you're talking about.
Yeah.
We didn't do any of that stuff. But we did like Celia Cruz. We did a song by we did La Vida es un Carnaval. We did that one. Of course.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Doing that. So I did that for a few years and then went back on my own and tried.
And have you ever found yourself like trying to like maybe like I'm gonna revisit your album 2017 see if there's non like
Spanish influence at all?
Yeah, like maybe like a melody or something.
I mean, maybe you might find something.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't think so. I think it was just a really great concept for a group at the time, right?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, the funny thing was none of us were Spanish, but we were really, I know. I mean, I was probably the closest one, right? But it worked. People loved it. It was funny. We're all Canadian. We're singing these Spanish tunes, but yeah.
That's
so
funny.
That was one part.
That's so cool.
But that's kind of long story short. That's kind of where it started for me to be like, okay, I think I'm going to make a career out of this. And I just kind of went full on after that.
Well, I mean, long story short, but yeah, like that's because it wasn't a moment. It was like the accumulation of many things that got you to that moment when you were like, oh, wait. So if this hadn't happened, if this other thing hadn't happened, if this other thing hadn't happened, yeah. Wow. Okay. That's so crazy. So crazy. So then after that, you were like, okay, I can do this. And then when were you like, I'm going to start writing my own things? You know,
like I said, I was kind of writing a little bit in between then, but then, I was in a cover band with a few musicians, a local one in town, the Famous Players Band. They kind of do a lot of corporate and stuff. We were playing a lot of casinos, and the drummer in that band was Jason Cook, and he was like, we became really good friends.
Was he friends with a comedian? Or
no, yeah, he's not no relation to Dane Cook.
Because he's Canadian, right? Dane
I
Cook?
think he is.
Yeah, I think so.
Or no, I think he's from Boston, actually.
Oh.
I think he might be.
Oh, whatever. That's fine. Whatever. I don't care. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's all good. But Jason was like, I was talking to him, and I was like, I want to start. I think I want to start putting out my own tunes, and I got these songs. And he was like, man, he's like, I got a studio. He's like,
oh wow, okay.
He's like, let's do it. And I was like,
he already had a studio.
Yeah, he had a studio in his garage, and then we did like the beds at Monarch Studios. And it was just like, I felt like I was taking control of everything, and it just felt really good to do that. And it was like it was a lot of learning with that first record, and I kind of just did it to see like what it takes, and like, how it all works, and like what you got to do. And for me, I'm kind of like one of these people that the way I learn, I'm not so much of a, like, I shouldn't say thinker. I am a thinker, but like I like to do things and then kind of learn from what I did wrong. You know what I mean? Like I do that a lot. Like I'll kind of go into prepare as much as I can, and then be like, okay, what went wrong?
You're empirical.
Yeah, I guess is that what you call that?
I don't know. Yeah, like you learn from like the doing, not the like the theory.
And maybe that's not the right way, but it's just kind of how I always done it. Because I don't know, I kind of just want to do it and get it over with and be like, okay, what did I do wrong? Sometimes I can not be good too. I feel like I can be impulsive, but I've gotten a lot better at that. But
sometimes it is better, I guess. Like
because sometimes you don't do anything then.
Because exactly, like the more you analyze, you paralyze whatever you're trying to do. Like because you're just like analyzing and analyzing and analyzing, and you're not really executing. So sometimes by the time, like when you just execute, you're like, oh, I could have done this. Like I shouldn't even have gone through all that analysis that I did. Like I just lost so much time.
So that's kind of how I operate. So I think that whole process, it was great, obviously, and the songs aren't bad, but I really thank Jason. He took had a lot of patience with me because I was starting out and I was very nervous about putting songs out. Like, it was very vulnerable to do all that. And just like you expect so much out of it when, nothing really is going to happen. And sometimes it does for people, but at the end of the day, it's like, it takes, and I realized how much effort and like how much, what I would do differently the next time around. And so it was a great experience, and it's a nice moment in my life.
And do you think the experience with the like Spanish cover band gave you like a little bit of like, you just like,
I got a lot of experience from that. I got a lot of show experience from that.
okay,
Like a lot of like, we were playing shows, like proper shows where people were sitting and listening.
Yeah, and cameras all around.
Yeah, that and just like, so that's where, like, and Capilano University also really set me up for, like, if you want to do this, even like, because Cap was like, yeah, you can get your teaching degree out of this, or you can get I think it was, you can get a performance degree, but they're always making people perform, right? And like, you just had to, like, you had so much going on and you had to learn tunes at the same time. It was a like really heavy course load that they kind of were prepping you for, like, you think this is a joke? So that really kicked my ass and got me into shape. That school did, for the year and a half that I was there.
Yeah.
It really set such good work ethic. It set a really good work ethic for me, because it was like, you want to be a working musician, you gotta,
Yeah. You gotta work.
Yeah, you gotta work. You gotta practice. The practicing thing was no joke. Getting into that school was no joke. It was like very serious, and it just became more serious than it did like, this is fun. Like, sing around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I liked it, because I was like, cool. If I'm gonna make a career out of this, this makes sense, right?
And then, so you did your first album, and then you've released like a few singles. You just released one this year.
I released I think I released 2 this year. I think. Yeah.
Two?
Yeah. Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
I didn't do my homework.
I didn't even know. So I like that.
No, the other one's last year.
No.
King of That?
Oh yeah, King of That was last year, and then I put out Better Off in the Dark this year. And then Who You Think I Am was the one I put out. You know what?
Yeah, okay.
It's all good. It was a more recent one. That's why. We'll give you a pass.
I'm sorry, people. We're gonna edit this out.
Yeah, you edit me out kicking the cat and just. Yeah, I'm not allergic to cats.
I honestly don't think she cared. She didn't feel it. So you released these 2.
Mm-hmm.
You did have like what drove you to release a single and not an album? Is it like you mentioned that you started writing, and then like it seems like you write a lot.
Yeah.
And you collaborate. But like what were you just like, I just want to release this song because I feel like this is something like worth putting out. I don't want to do an album right now.
So I have an album right now. I just haven't released all of it. Yeah. So that's I know. I just haven't released all of it yet, because what I found with when I released my first album is that people have some people listen to the album a lot, which was great, but I feel like when you can be strategic, there's a business side of all of this, when you're strategic with your releases, I still don't know really what I'm doing, but it's easier for people to focus on one tune.
Yeah.
If you give a spotlight to one song that's probably a better tune than the rest on the record, it's kind of nice.
It's also something that a lot of musicians have been doing, like big artists do.
Oh yeah.
They release like 4 songs.
Yeah.
And then like
people
3
have a short
songs,
attention span.
Yeah.
Right? And they only like one song, they'll grab that tune and put it in their playlist. They won't listen to the whole.
Yeah. John Mayer has done that with his last, or like, yeah.
Who's that?
John Mayer?
Oh yeah.
Or did I say?
Yeah.
Did I say John Mayer? Yeah. He's done that with like his last albums.
Yeah.
He's been like, I'm just gonna,
They trickle in a few singles, and that's kind of what I've been doing. So I'm probably gonna release the full album either this fall or next year.
Yeah, but it's ready. Like
it's done. It's been done. Oh man, I started writing it in 2020.
Okay, so it was during.
Yeah.
And what happened with you like during the pandemic? Like, did you find you were like, oh shit, like this?
Yeah, I mean, like just before the pandemic.
Was it a burst of creativity? Like, did it push you to other parts and like corners of your brain that you didn't really want to?
I had a lot of time, I guess,
as everybody,
so, and a lot of time to think and to see what I really wanted to do. But I do remember like what set that off was like before the pandemic. I got in touch with a producer named Nigel Aslan, and we recorded, I think, like 4 tunes together, and I released a couple of them. And one of the songs that I released, Hard Days,
Yeah, I wanted to get to that.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, you go.
That was like, we did that tune together and it got added to some editorial playlists, and it was like it was really awesome. Nigel's a really good friend of mine, and we've worked on a lot of songs together, and he actually worked on this latest record with me as well.
Okay.
But there was a lot going on with that, and then the pandemic hit, and I kind of had all these opportunities kind of just like fall through at the height of that song and stuff,
So it was a little bit of.
It was a little like I was like really, and I just was.
But then that gained momentum, and then you sort.
Yeah, I didn't want to give up. I remember like, I wasn't really. During the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, obviously like no one was like working.
Yeah.
So I started working like I just kind of didn't want to stay home anymore. So I just like picked up like labor jobs. So I was doing a little bit of landscaping, and then I started working at a scenic carpentry shop for the majority of the pandemic, which was a really great experience. I learned a lot of,
work
stuff
with your hands.
Yeah. And then after work, I would just go to the studio and I would write and record like the record that I was going to be trying to release. But it took so long because, I was low in cash, and the pandemic was such a long thing, right? So it was nice in a way that I got to take some time with it, but there was a lot of a lot of stop and start with restrictions, and Guilt & Co. was one of the places that like made me feel that I could keep doing what I'm doing, because they still had music there,
which was so hard.
It was hard, but it was the fact that they were still doing it,
yeah,
was a big deal, and we owe a lot to that place, because of that. Seriously.
Yeah. Thank you, Guilt & Co.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah, I mean, we arrived here during pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like we got here 2021.
Oh man.
Yeah. Early 2021. So it was like right in the middle of mayhem.
Oh god.
Yeah, it was really bad. And then we got into Guilt & Co. And then I was like, this is just very nice to have like people enjoy live music.
Totally.
And you would still get, a few assholes that whatever.
Yeah.
Because that just wanted to get out, so they just didn't really appreciate live music or whatever. But in general, I feel like there was a lot of, good people trying to like, I appreciate being out, but I also appreciate being here and listening to like artists just, opening their heart out and being vulnerable on stage and letting us like hear their craft.
Yeah.
So it was really nice. Yeah.
It was one of the platforms of places where I could go to and play some of the new music that I was writing and recording and had recorded, and getting the validation of what I was doing, on the sides, because there wasn't many places to play, and the songs that I was recording, and people were enjoying them, and it was, but it's been a long time coming with these tunes.
Yeah.
But it's there's a lot of work involved. There's like 10 songs, so I've only released 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So I got one coming September 22nd, and then I think
stay tuned, people.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. It's a nice one. So
it's not about the lamplighter.
No.
Or is it?
Kind of. No.
I was like, or is it?
It's got a similar theme, that's for sure. But it does not takes place at Guilt & Co. It's called Friday Night at Guilt & Co.
Nice. Okay, so you have this album that's about to like you're gonna be releasing during the next
6 months, I guess.
6 months, nice. Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you writing right now, like new music?
I am. Yeah, I've started.
Okay.
I've started.
See, I told you do feel like I don't know. Yeah.
I've started to conceptualize a lot of ideas. I've started to put together a lot of.
Have you organized now your like voice notes?
I haven't done that.
Okay.
I have to do that. But I know which ones where I'm like, oh, that was good. I have it in my head where I'm like, I got to go back, finish that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to be setting up some more co-writes. But I definitely, I'm still refining the direction that I'm trying to go in, and that's always going to change. And that's what's fun about things, right? Because you're just slowly going to be, you're trying to chip away at this this rock till it becomes exactly the sculpture that you
that you want it to.
Yeah. You know, and yeah. So
what would you consider that is like your food to like you feed your creativity with? Like, do you go to certain places? Do you like when you start feeling those moments of creativity, do you do like, okay, I have to, or like what you mentioned right now, I have this idea and I have to go revisit that. Do you have like a certain, like place or people that you surround yourself with when they're like, I know these guys, or this is like my food that I feed my creativity that I know I need to feed right now do this?
I know the people that I can definitely work with in terms of trying to finish a product in terms of and they inspire me, obviously, of course, because they come up with.
Yeah, I've compared them to food. Sorry, but
no,
yeah, you know, I like music, but yeah. So I mean, you're Italian.
Great comparison. I know I have which great. I have a great group of people that are so supportive of what I do, and they're awesome. There's some really amazing people in this city, man. It's crazy, and they're great for when I come with a canvas that has a little bit of paint on it, if that makes any sense. And then they really, you know, can finish it, and it's nice in terms of instrumentation and production and all that kind of stuff, right?
So it's people more than. Do you go to places? Do you?
Oh no, yeah. And I was gonna get to like when it comes to like feeling inspired, live music is great. Yeah. Like, you know, going to see an artist that I like, especially like kind of like a famous artist. Someone that's really like, it's like, oh wow, like, you know, this is where you can get, or like that's, you know, it's inspiring. Like those live shows for me, and relaxing is a big one. So like just being on somewhat a vacation, or just sitting with my thoughts and just playing with the guitar, which I got to do this fall.
Well, I think that speaks to your work ethic, probably.
Yeah.
The fact that you are putting yourself to like these like tasks and like deadlines and which is good, because that probably gives you like not only the work ethic, but you know, just like it helps you gain like more momentum and
totally.
Which is good. Yeah, like we can get to enjoy your music more.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
it's just kind of like that. I'd say like live music is a big one though. I love performing live. It's just like my favorite thing. When I have an audience in front of me and people are listening and
it feeds you.
Oh my God, it's the best. So for me, like recording it's a whole. I see them both very different things. You know, like constructing a song, and it's like you have in mind playing the song live. A lot. I feel like the last record the one I just wrote was. We were thinking about that a lot. We were thinking about how is this going to go over. Like I that was where when I was writing the tunes, I was like, I really want something that's going to like really kick ass at a festival or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So that was definitely part of where because I was just really into that vibe of things, especially being so starved from not being able to play. I was like, I can't wait to do these when it's back on and just fucking kick it.
I mean, that's so cool. I feel like those are like, I don't know what to call them, but like maybe like musical formulas that have worked. I don't know if they always work, but I know there's like Foo Fighters, I think they did. Dave Grohl would used to describe how, I think in England, or I don't know exactly, maybe England, they always jump like before a concert, they always like jump up and down. So Dave Grohl put himself like as a task, which speaks of his work ethic of like, I want to start the concert. Like, you know, like I want to start our show with a song that starts with a beat that goes like, you know, that starts with a beat that goes like along with jumping.
Yeah.
So I think that's how he came to, I don't know. I don't remember which song, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe There Goes My Hero.
Maybe.
I don't remember. And he played, the first time he played it was here in but he was, I don't remember. I think I'm mixing stories up. But that's like a really good way to like approach like how to write a song. Like if you want to start, like I want my show, like this is what I'm expecting of the audience,
for sure.
of my customers, of my clients, you know, the people that consume my music.
Yes.
So I would love them to experience this because this is what I want to experience, right? So I'm going to write a song that is, you know, tailored to that feeling.
And I wrote a lot of songs that were like not like that, and I was like, that doesn't fit. I was like, this is cool, but like it doesn't.
It's like, not really.
Yeah, I just conceptualized. I was like, I want this to fit in a live stage setting where it's like, that was fucking fun. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the idea. Like, now I'm writing stuff. It's probably a bit more mellow, but we'll see. I don't know.
I mean, sometimes, yeah. I mean, it does. Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
But that's what the inspiration for that was. It was
nice.
Like,
yeah.
You know, and it's been great. We've done a few festivals this summer,
Mm.
and the reaction has been exactly what I was hoping for.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Have you had a song like played or workshopped a song on stage where you were expecting a certain reaction and then you got like a very different one?
Yeah,
either
that happens
for better
a
or
lot.
for worse, and you're like, oh,
that happens a lot. I feel like sometimes when you can't, it's sometimes and that's probably so there's certain songs
you're like, I didn't want to say Saturday Night at the Light.
Yeah.
Saturday Night at the Light was one of the
that one really didn't go over. No,
I'm teasing.
There's certain songs that we worked on in the studio that were like so good and really incredible, and they still are great when we play them live, but we put a lot of like, there's a lot of things like in the background and this and that really enhance the song. And like, I don't play with tracks. I play with a full live band, and I kind of like doing that because I feel like it's just so much more raw and organic, and it's just like, I don't know, I like it. So there's a few tunes where I notice they sound like different songs, and the reaction is a bit different.
Okay.
I also notice that when I have songs there's a lot of songs obviously that I haven't put out yet. There's only 3 from the new record that I've put out.
And the rest you've played like
I played live, and I can tell people don't know them yet, right? So the ones that I do play that are out, you see people reacting to, and I'm like, okay. Well, I can't wait for these to come out because, you know. But yeah, there's that. There's a reaction that you see to certain songs. I'm thinking it might change when I put them out though, and people actually know the songs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, it just could be from my standpoint. I'm like, are they digging this right now, or is this like, you know? But yeah.
Nice. Well, hopefully it will turn out.
Oh yeah.
As you expect it to be, and even better. I'm excited to listen to the whole full album then.
Yeah, I'm excited to share
it.
It's been a lot of work, and it's been a lot of fun. Long time. It's like 3 years. So hopefully the next one doesn't take that long.
Good things take time.
Yeah, and I feel like the next batch of tunes I'm probably going to be writing, it's going to be more of that kind of live kind of feel. I have such a great band that I've been working with, and such great musicians like Paul Clark, Joseph Lubinski Mast, Marcus Ramsey, Emmett Jerome. Sometimes play with Flavio Cirillo, Derek DiFilippo, like really great group of guys.
Wow.
Max Sapersky.
Yeah, a few of them have been here. Half of them have been here.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of great people that have frequented the show. So.
Nice. Not that being here meant,
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean.
I didn't mean that anything.
Man, they've been here. This is legit.
Yeah. We legitimize musicians. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. You legitimize us. Well, it's fun. It's so fun to like know that you're writing music right now, and you have more music to come and be released. Do you want to drop your social media tags?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky that I was the first guy to actually get at Antonio Larosa. So it's just literally my name, because I was a very early Instagram user. And then you could check me out on Spotify, Apple Music, all that streaming software stuff. It's everywhere. And then my website's antoniolarosamusic.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you can find me.
And your next single is September 22nd.
Yeah.
So
and
in a month.
I'll be playing Guilt and Company that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Big deal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Are you working?
I don't know.
Are you working? Okay. You bringing the cat?
We might book it off. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So we can actually enjoy you, like,
there we go,
playing on stage.
This was so much fun.
I'm so happy.
I feel like I just didn't shut up.
That's the whole point.
I guess I just, you know, you ask me these questions and I start to go and all, you know.
That's the whole point.
Okay,
like,
cool.
Yeah, I try to pick on musicians' brains because I want to know. I imagine it's what other people want to know about, like, what's your process?
And I don't shut up. So
I mean, yeah. Well, I'm Mexican.
There you go.
Yeah. And my name means like woman that talks a lot. So
Oh, does it actually?
yeah,
Lorena.
like, yeah.
But Lorena is how you say it, right? Is how you spell?
No, Lorena.
Lorena.
Yeah,
okay.
you pronounced it perfectly.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Like there's a little bit of a y to it, right? Or no?
Lorena.
Lorena.
No,
No? Okay,
no.
okay.
Yeah, where's
I've
the
seen
yeah?
people. I feel like I've spelled.
Oh,
People.
Lorena.
Oh,
Well, they go Lorena, and
maybe.
I'm like, yeah, sure, it's close enough. Yeah.
That's the American, right?
Yeah, Lorena.
Lorena?
Lorena.
Lorena.
Lorna. I've got Lorna. I've got Lorena.
I get
Yeah.
Antonio Larosa all
Larosa.
the time. I'm like, no, I'm not the guy.
I'm not
from
the dictionary.
Karate Kid. Thank you. It's Larosa. Larosa. I don't know. I don't even know my own name.
In Mexico, we have, I don't know if it's a Latin thing or just a Mexican thing. We have a dictionary. It's called Larousse.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, maybe
Larousse.
Larousse. I think it is. But I think that sounds French, like Larousse.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Oh,
I don't know.
Man, you got a French accent. Jeez, that's good. Does she? Okay, there you go. I took French in school. I failed, so I don't know. Too busy playing guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cheers to you playing guitar.
Cheers. Thanks
and
for
having
having
you
me, guys.
here.
Thank you.
This is so much fun. You're so fun to chat with.
This is awesome. And thank you guys for doing this for all the artists and everything. It's awesome. Keep doing it. It's great. I love watching it. Love listening. I'm so honored that you asked me to be on here. Thank you.
Same.
Thank
We're
you.
honored that you said yes. So
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.